Hello there, it is Blueies and Shoeies, and it's Big Pooch here. And this time round, we're talking a bit of golf. And of course, the reason is we are hot off the 2025 Masters and a career Grand Slam for the one and only Rory McIlroy. Congratulations to Rory McIlroy. He joins a truly esteemed club of career Grand Slam winners, being Gene Sarazen, Ben Hogan, Gary Player, Jack Nicklaus, and of course the man before him, Tiger Woods. When you think about golf, the history of the game, it is incredibly rare that a sport with a history and the depth of history, tradition, such as golf, to only have that few players to achieve something so unique. You could see the burden lifted off Rory as soon as that putt finally dropped on 18 on the playoff. I want to speak through in particular what it means to actually win the career Grand Slam, not only the Masters, what he's been through, why the fans are so attracted to Rory in particular, the ups and downs of the day, that is Major Championship Sunday, and finishing off as to what this means now for both Rory in the immediate year, but the minimum expectation he should really put on his career over the next 10 years. If you haven't, please like and subscribe. I'm on YouTube and Facebook for the time being. I will get back up and running. Famous last words on Spotify. Winning all four majors. Rory's won four majors. He's won the PGA twice, the US Open, and of course the Open. When you think that it's only been 5 golfers previously who have won it, it shows you how many great golfers have come so close. You think about Phil Mickelson, Sam Snead needing just a US Open. Spieth currently just needs a PGA Championship to win his career Grand Slam. The difference in pressure is Rory's standards have always been exceptional. Spieth over the last 3, 4, 5 years has really been off the pace by a long way. And therefore, if he does win it, it'll be terrific. However, since his fast start, similar to Rory, winning a number of majors over a short period, he's really not been at the races. Tom Watson, Arnold Palmer needing a PGA, Lee Trevino and Walter Hagen needing a Masters. There are a couple others that were one shy, but those are Hall of Fame, world-renowned talents, golfers. Arnold Palmer, one of the all-time greatest golfers that we've ever seen, a personality that really took golf by the scruff of the neck and put it on the big stage, was one tournament shy. And leading into this Masters, like every year for the best part of a decade, Rory has had to deal with the scrutiny, the expectation that this could be the year. Alan Shipnuck, a brilliant golf journalist, spoke to him earlier this year, and if you think about Rory's year this year, it already includes a win at Pebble Beach and already includes a win at TPC Sawgrass, at the Players. Now to win the Masters, you're thinking about 3 of the greatest courses they've played this year. Rory said to him that he's the most complete player he's ever been in his career. The guy that's already got 4 majors. Brandel Chambly, ahead of the tournament, was speaking to an Irish journalist, again around the expectations of Rory this year, and really noted 2 key points as to probably what stopped him, I would say more so in the past. One was his swing. His swing certainly flattened over the years, and certainly at the Masters, more than most courses, the ability to hit a high fade is required, given the undulating fairways and the hard and fast greens. the ability to land balls softly on the green and get below pins as much as possible is incredibly important to win the tournament. And the second being is Rory, over the last how many years, outside of his collapse to Charles Schwartzel in 2011, and I think only one other occasion he's actually had a very good start to the Masters. He was looking on course at 4 under on Thursday this year, only to blow up with 2 double drops in the last 4 holes, which was incredibly poor. However, he was able to rectify those issues. I think this year what we have seen is his ability to play different shots, certainly utilizing that high fade more often than he's been able to execute before. He's also been able to, off the tee, rely on a softer fade more than he has done in the past. If you think about his loss to Bryson DeChambeau in the US Open last year, going down 18, hitting that big hard draw, more likely a hook off the tee on 18, getting himself in trouble and missing a putt to open the door for Bryson to win it. He's had his better shot selection, and I think the big one for me is his ability to be more accurate in the 80 to 130, 140 yard shots into the green. He's notoriously a brilliant driver, Rory McIlroy. The issue has continuously been that he's been down the middle of the fairway, a wedge shot in. He typically hits it close, spins it 15 feet from the hole, and his putting has always been middle of the pack, or vice versa, just hitting it 15 yards either side of the pin and not giving himself enough chances for the positions that he puts himself in. So I spoke earlier about the expectations that Rory continuously has around not only the Masters, but the career Grand Slam, the build of pressure coming so close, certainly over the last few years in the majors, the 10-year drought in the majors all up. Every year, the pressure mountain becomes more difficult. And I think that's because of the expectations of his talent, how good a player he is, what he's achieved outside of the majors. When you think about the race to Dubai, the FedEx, the major tournaments outside of the 4 majors, he's won everything the game has to offer, and many times he has. But the majors have eluded him. When you think about the growth of the game during Tiger's reign as number 1, the stardom, the celebrity that Tiger brought to golf, and now the vacuum left between social media and the growth in the eyes of the game, and the vacuum left given Tiger's woes since the controversies of his private life to his injuries. Golf's needed that superstar. And while certainly there's been many great players that have come to rival Rory's quality over the last 10 to 15 years, Spieth, I mentioned earlier, was an absolute stud there for a few years. Brooks Koepka went on a hot streak. And obviously more recently, Scotty Scheffler and Xander Schauffele last year. These are all players that have taken the game by the scruff of the neck. They don't seem to quite have the draw of the fans that Rory does. And I think a lot of that is down to Rory winning those tournaments early on in his career, being well recognized as a prodigy in his youth. And I think a lot of it comes down to his vulnerability, both on and off the course. I mentioned Tiger. You think about Faldo, you think about Greg Norman, these high-profile, well-known players that on the golf course were force of nature. Tiger ruled golf with intimidation. He was that good. His ability to get the crowds involved and take the game by the scruff of the neck with brilliant play. But when he was leading, if anything, he was quite boring because he was so solid. He didn't let you down. I'm not sure he lost a major leading going into Sunday. So he's an anomaly, but equally, he was an enigma off the golf course until the controversy of his personal life broke out. Nobody knew what he quite did off the course. Incredibly private, an enigma really, where Rory, through his vulnerability on the course, people can relate to often poor shots and leaving shots out there, to his engagement and vulnerability and openness and candid nature with the press. I mean, when you think about his willingness to put himself at the forefront of the PGA Tour, at the forefront of golf in its fight against the LIV and the Saudi money. I mean, I'm not a fan of LIV at all. The concept of the funding, but regardless of your thoughts on LIV, Rory was fighting for the soul of the game. He had often spoken, I'd seen documentaries of how Arnold Palmer, Gary Player, Jack Nicklaus, these esteemed greats had spoken to him rather, around his duty and obligation to take the game forward and to hold it in the right tradition. Now, don't get me wrong, PGA Tour had a lot to improve on, but he put himself on a stage to be criticised. He took on an extra burden on behalf of the game that he didn't need to, and I think that's probably really won people over. That ability to be himself, be authentic, and be relatable. That's why I think fans have really taken to Rory. And when you see the scenes of him coming off and obviously embracing his caddy Harry, his good mate, to Justin Rose, who was a class act, to his wife and daughter, and just the wave of emotion and tears in his eyes. Watching it a few times since, I keep tearing up. It's unbelievable what he's achieved and the will of the people to get him over the line. And what a tumultuous time and roller coaster of emotions he took us on. Padraig Harrington was interviewed and certainly picked up. He saw a lot of similarities in some of his big wins as Rory, where he sort of said he's often thrown it away and had to win it back. And I think if we go through the round really quickly, Rory threw it away 3 times. 3 times he threw it away in 18 holes to finally win it again. If I look here, the first hole, double drop and par's a par 5. Bryson's 1 under, already in the lead. He's thrown it away already. Within 2 holes, he's already a shot behind. 3-shot swing. He then birdies 3 and 4, pars 5, 6, 7 and 8. And then birdies 9 and 10. So over 7 holes, he's gone 4 under. Playing 11, big mistake, almost pays a heavier price going into the drink like Bryson did. Bogeys 11, pars 12. 13 sets himself up. And as someone who's played the course many times, not myself, Padraig Harrington said, he would have had the ball above his feet. He would have tried to stop sort of putting a big draw on his wedge shot and leaving himself high, putting downhill. And instead of aiming towards the water and letting it take its natural shape, Probably on the swing down, he's decided, he's been cautious and blocked it to hit one of the worst shots we've ever seen a player of that caliber ever hit in any situation. Double drops 13, a par 5 to double drop 13 and then drop 14. How can you win it? He's thrown it away again. He's leading the tournament and he's thrown it away for a second time to hit one of the most unbelievable second shots. As soon as he hit that drive on 15, I went, God almighty, he's absolutely slaughtered that drive, but it's left. He's behind the trees. He's going to have to lay it short. And not only to draw that shot around the trees, because I think an easy shot would have been, an easy leave would have been to leave it in the bunker. But to pitch it within that short space on the green, the front of the green, to let it roll up to the pin, to only break your heart and not make that putt, and not make the putt on 16 again after a great iron on 12, great iron on 15, great iron 16, plays 3-wood on 17, leaves himself 96 yards to hit the ball within 3 foot and make birdie on 17. He's won it again. And then on 18, after a brilliant drive, he puts it in the bunker and bogeys it. So he's lost it 3 times in 18 holes. To see that caption come up on 18, I've never seen that before. I wouldn't be able to recall when I would have seen that with Tiger. But to see the caption in regulation play on 18 to say, to win the career Grand Slam, and then he rolls that putt short left. It was just a wave of emotion. I'm sure like all Rory fans, all fans in total, were pulling their hair out, screaming with joy at the approach shot on 15, pulling their hair out at the putts on 15 and 16, screaming at that chip shot on 13. And a big note, while this tumultuous round was all happening, one of the class acts, one of the best examples of what it is to be a professional golfer, a golfer in general, that being the brilliant Justin Rose, put one of the most epic final rounds in championship history together. And whilst it was 66 and others have gone lower, there was only 4 pars, 4 bogeys, and 10 birdies. Had he putted better Saturday, it may have been a different story. He lost a major Masters playoff to Sergio Garcia. What a man. I mean, if there was anyone else, it would have been Justin Rose. A class act, a example of how great golf is, that a man at 44 years old can be as competitive as he is unbelievable. Now, in my opinion, Rory shouldn't have his mate, Harry. I think there's that ability to have that separation in responsibility and relationship. I think, my 2 cents, as far as a caddy goes, he shouldn't be on the bag. I think there's probably a couple of majors there that had he had a different caddy, we could be seeing a different story. But the one benefit, certainly, that I heard from Rory in the press conference after that disastrous 18th hole in regulation, getting to the 18th in the first playoff hole, Harry says to him, "You would have taken this situation at the start of the week." And Rory was able to reset after that ridiculous blowout on 18. The ability to say there is still an opportunity to win this despite what's happened get him to think about where he would have been at the start of the week and what he would have taken, to bang that drive as good as he did it on the first time round, and to then deliver a brilliant approach shot after Rosie hit a cracking shot in, and then to knock it in. Dropping to his knees and crying. The relief of him, certainly. The expectation every single year. What are you going to do this year? How are you going to win it? What have you done differently? Playing, not playing, tournaments won, tournaments lost in the lead up to the Masters. Breaking the major drought, winning the career Grand Slam. This was the one. And the ooze of relief, you could feel it, and I think we all felt it watching our screens. Grown men crying. Happy. Bittersweetness with seeing Justin Rose for sure. But embracing his daughter, walking through the cheering crowds, welling up. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. What a Masters Sunday. He took us on a roller coaster of emotion, and we were there for him, and we finally got there. And my God, what a win it was. To him receiving the jacket from Scotty Scheffler in that intimate ceremony they have after every tournament with Jim Nantz and the chairman of the Masters, Augusta National. To his kind words to his daughter saying, never give up on your dreams, while he hosted the trophy with the green jacket on his shoulders. To then asking the first question at the press conference, what will we talk about next year? It really has been a narrative and a burden on Rory for so many years. The vacuum left by Tiger Woods. Someone has to take up the mantle for this great game. And anyone who knows the game really well would say that Rory McIlroy is the most talented and the best player of his generation. And finally, he's been able to overcome the biggest hurdle that there's been in his career. And now we can look forward. What does Rory's future look like? He's 35. If we call it 10 years that he's got left. 45, Rosie's just finished that Masters. He's 44. If we were conservative and said one major every 2 years would be another 5 majors, and that would take him to 10. That for me is the bare minimum that he should really put himself in line to have at least 10 majors when it's all said and done, especially when you consider what's in front of us this year. I hope he enjoys this win and then resets, because we've got Quail Hollow for the PGA Championship. He's already won there 4 times. He's got a Masters under his belt. He's won at Pebble Beach. He's won at TPC Sawgrass. This is Rory's year. He's going to play at Royal Portrush. He got in his own way. But this is a different Rory McIlroy. Rory McIlroy at 16 years old put his name on the map by shooting a club course record 61 at 16 years old at Royal Portrush. And then, of course, there's also Oakmont. So the US Open, where he's finished second twice, 2 years running, he's finished second. So whilst he doesn't have history at Oakmont, the last 2 US Opens, he's proven the tough conditions, the tough test of golf. He can do it. He can put himself in contention. He knows Quail Hollow like the back of his hand. And he will certainly be the favourite for Royal Portrush. This year is Rory's year. This year, the world is his oyster. The world this year is at Rory's feet. Come on, Rory, get it done, mate. And I for one, will be cheering him on all the way. What a Masters. Thanks for listening. Take care.